My name is Marie Jose, and as of this recording, I'm a member of Toastmaster. I'm sharing my icebreaking talk with you today to keep an archive of my speaking journey because I believe that stories don't just inspire us, they give us a new way to see ourselves. And my hope is that something in this message sparks clarity, courage, or possibility for you, just as it did for me writing it. So this talk is entitled Stepping into My Wisdom Years. Again, it's my icebreaker talk, so my first talk in Toastmasters. Thank you. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. It's my pleasure to be standing here tonight to share my icebreaker with you. I celebrated my 50th birthday this year. I know, I don't look a day over 49. I hear that a lot. And while some people see that as something to hide, it was for me a moment of liberation because I don't see it as getting older. I see it as my permission slip to step into a new, more empowering identity. Now, a little bit about me. For those who don't know me, I grew up in the eastern townships of Quebec. We moved to Ontario when I was 12 years old, and I moved out on my own just a few months before my 17th birthday. I worked hard to make ends meet, to put myself through school, and I graduated with a double major in math and computer science. And I had a very successful career as a freelance website developer, which gave me a lot of freedom to do what I wanted on my own terms. And I retired from this career 5 years ago. Earlier this year, I stepped on a stage for the first time and I shared my story. My voice shook, my mind went blank a few times, but that didn't matter because my story resonated with so many of the women in the audience who came up to me afterwards to share their story. It was deeply empowering and I was hooked. And that's why I'm now a member of Toastmasters because, as Arthur, one of our club members, so lovingly likes to point out, mastery requires consistent practice. So tonight I want to share 3 reasons why this moment matters so deeply to me. When I thought about turning 50 and how I wanted to spend the second half of my life, I thought about the wisdom that I have acquired along the way from the strong women in my life. I thought about how much I enjoyed sitting in my grandmother's living room and listening to her share her stories and wisdom. And I thought about how it seems to be a rite of passage that maybe has been lost along the way for the women to become the wisdom givers through stories. And so I step into my wisdom years, not because I have all the answers, though I think I do, but because I want to embrace what becomes possible as we continue to have meaningful conversations and ask empowering questions. And one of the questions I ask myself is, how can I make sure that my words reach the people who truly need to hear them? I've always loved words, but I didn't do that well in English class, so I kept them mostly to myself and lived in my head, which was perfect as a programmer because I could hold massive amounts of code in my brain. This is before widgets and the plugins that we see today. I actually wrote every single line of code myself for my entire 24-year career. But when it came to relating to others, I mostly kept to myself, remained silent, or tried to say the right thing, not to offend anyone and keep others comfortable. But I realized that genuine connection doesn't live in perfection, that silence is a form of consent, and that discomfort is our greatest teacher. In fact, neuroscience shows there is no growth without it. I see Toastmasters as a bridge to speak in a way that others not only hear, but feel. But there's a deeper reason I'm here, and it started long before I ever imagined myself speaking on a stage. I grew up in a family where girls were not valued as much as boys. I learned early that I was not expected to go as far as my brother, nor would I be helped to do so. I learned not to take up too much space, to silence my voice, and to work really hard to prove my worth. And that story became my survival strategy. But the thing about survival strategies is that what once protected you and kept you safe becomes your cage. And I want every woman who's ever swallowed her voice to belong, who struggled to hold it all together or worked really hard to prove her worth, to know that the door is not locked. It's safe to share her story now, and someone needs to hear the truth that only she can tell. I see Toastmasters as a place to practice so I can model it for others. So tonight, I stand before you with those three intentions. Number one, to embrace my wisdom years with curiosity and courage. Number two, to speak with clarity and resonance. And number three, to bust through perceived limitations. This icebreaker is the beginning, a small step forward, because every story matters. And the bravest thing any one of us will ever do is to simply start. Thank you. If this talk inspired you to find your own voice, I encourage you to visit a Toastmaster club near you. It's one of the most supportive places to grow as a communicator and a leader. And if you'd love help shaping your message or writing your speech, you're also welcome to join my flow writing workshop, where we turn ideas into powerful stories or a book, or my weekly Just Write workshops, where we, you guessed it, just write. Wherever you begin, the best thing, the most important thing, and the bravest thing that you can do is simply to begin. Your voice matters. See you next time.